Alright, what up, family? Alright, first things first. This video is probably going to be longer than 10 minutes because there's a lot to unpack with this August Jada and whole Will fiasco. Like, it's crazy. But I'm going to do my best to address it all, so get your popcorn ready because we about to go in. Now, before we go in, it's imperative that we acknowledge the following. There is no rules to marriage, and every marriage is different and can be governed by any mythology the married parties choose. So if it's closed, open, shut, or ajar, that is solely up to them. And in all fairness, we have no right to judge because we are not a part of that marriage. But what we can do is analyze it for our own personal growth. And that's what we're going to do here. And we're probably going to judge just a little bit. All right, so get your popcorn ready again, and let's get it. Now, if I'm being honest, watching and listening to Jada on her Red Table Talk made me feel dirty. I felt like I needed to shower, like honestly, just to wash all the stench that was emanating from my laptop. God. And it was also infuriating and terrifying all at the same time. Because as I watched her speak with perfect makeup, perfect lighting, and perfect beauty, I couldn't help but see how the imagery of a beautiful woman provides a shield of protection for deceitful or dishonorable behavior. But the reality is, although she was able to present a well-manicured image for her Red Table Talk, it should not nor will not take away from the destruction and hurt she caused two men with her immature and self-centered predatory behavior. In choosing to have sex with August, Jada wanted someone she could control and manipulate. She wanted someone incapable of seeing her flaws, someone who would not call her on her bullshit. She saw a vulnerable and weak young man and pounced on him. Literally, she pounced on him. Now, being that August was allegedly only 22 at the time, he understandably lacked life experience, while she, on the other hand, was 43, married, and had children. So to be honest with you, there's a part of me that felt like she should have been jailed immediately after that Red Table Talk. Now, although he may have been of legal age, I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll be hard-pressed to go out into the world and find an adult who's 40 or above who doesn't view a 22-year-old as a child. And that's simply because a 21-year age difference is a lifetime of experience between these two age ranges. Now, add in being married and having children, and then the 21-year age difference begins to feel more like 30. Now, if we take it a step further and we add in Mr. Alcina's health fragilities, emotional fragilities, you now have two individuals who undeniably fall into the predator and prey categories. And this is why, honestly, family, I felt so dirty. Because what she did, from my perspective, was so egregious because she selfishly exploited the age gap for her own personal gain. She knew what she was doing, or worse, she didn't freaking care. And in doing so, she failed to recognize, acknowledge, or again care that her behavior would cause this fragile individual to be more damaged than he already was. If we're being brutally honest, what is the difference between Jada Pinkett Smith and a teacher that sleeps with an adolescent student? What is the difference between her and R. Kelly, which she so proudly stood on her high-heel red table horse, talking about we need to protect our young black girls, meanwhile knowing damn well she was a molester of young black boys? The audacity of this hypocritical, borderline pedophile rapist to have a special edition Red Table Talk on the sexual behaviors of a predator that she herself is.
Hello, RTT family. This is a special edition of Red Table Talk. And like many of you, Willow, Gam, and myself, we watched Surviving R. Kelly on Lifetime. And I called my producer and I said, we have to do a Red Table Talk about this right away.
Are you kidding me? You called the producer, not the other way around? You had the high moral nerve to pick up your phone and try to bring truth to light? Yo, is this a joke? But it doesn't stop there. Oh no, she was just warming up. She had plenty more to say.
I thought it was really important to watch it as mother and daughter. Yeah. And then I was calling you like, damn, have you. But I have to tell you, I felt a lot of things. I had a lot of feelings about it. One being, I was like, man, how complicit we all have been. Yes. That really broke my heart. Yeah. To really think about, we ignored it.
Oh, really? Do tell. How did it break your heart? Because you definitely weren't heartbroken when you were riding a penis 21 years younger than you. And you certainly weren't heartbroken when you were caressing that same penis that was only 5 years older than your 17-year-old son. Like, for real. When were you heartbroken? Like, I'm serious. When were you heartbroken? Was it when you were laying on your back, laying on your stomach, or getting pounded from the side? When did this R. Kelly entanglement break your heart? Because the reality is, while R. Kelly was molesting underage girls, you were molesting barely overage boys.
Let's just talk about children who have been raped and molested. People who are in your home.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So I look at this as
Yeah,
like
because a lot of times the abuse is coming from a
family member, somebody close
a neighbor,
to the family,
a close family friend.
Let me tell you, out of the people that I know, I've never heard once that it was a stranger.
It doesn't come from a stranger. It's usually a friend of the family. Well, you sure do seem to know a lot about what you're talking about. And who are these people you talking about? Because truth be told, you the only one sitting at that table that's riding barely overage boys.
And the idea of having a, a superstar point you out, where most of us come from backgrounds where we feel neglected, we feel like we haven't been loved enough.
So their self-worth comes from that attention.
Boom! So you did understand what you were doing. You did understand the power you had. Because you clearly understood it when you were referencing the R. Kelly situation. And since both you and R. Kelly were participating in similar behavior at around the same time, but do we really actually know that? Because when did your barely overage molesting start? I mean entangling, I'm sorry. I get a little confused sometimes.
But that's how we are all complicit, because guess what? How can you forget?
Yeah. Right.
How can you forget? That's why we should have all been screaming from the rafters.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Aaliyah thing?
Exactly.
The black community, what's going on?
Well, here I am, Jada. Here we all are. We screaming now, what's going on with you molesting boys 21 years younger than you? I'm listening. And don't tell us we all complicit, because we all are complicit. You're complicit. Just you. And if that wasn't enough, let's move on to the best acting she's done in her entire career, bar none.
Because you guys deserve it.
Yes.
And I am just so sorry. I'm sorry you didn't get it sooner.
Wait, was that tears? Did I just see tears of empathy? So now you a predator and a victim? I mean, the nerve of this borderline pedophile. And we haven't even gone to the red table talk about herself yet. So let's not waste another second.
It's healing that needs to happen. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Even though this is minuscule, I do feel like it's these kinds of things that create the world that we're in. And the idea of not communicating, not talking about it, not clearing the air, and just being as transparent. Just being transparent.
Did she just say transparent? So now you transparent? Since when? If your victim did not speak out, you would have continued riding on your high-heeled pedophile horse looking down on other molesters. Like your shit don't stink. So don't sit up here and talk to me or anybody about transparency. And for the record, there was nothing minuscule about your behavior. It was predatory and purposeful. Before your barely overage victim confessed to your sins, you was as opaque as a pair of limo tents. So miss me with the transparent nonsense, because there ain't nothing real about that.
I guess about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was about 4 years ago. Started a friendship with August. And we actually became really, really good friends. And it all started with him just needing some help. Me wanting to help his health, his mental state. And we found all those different resources, to help pull them through.
Resources? Yeah, this shit is crazy. Alright? So your boy August got autoimmune hepatitis, been temporarily paralyzed, passed out in the middle of a live performance, damn near lost sight in one eye, and with all the money and wealth Jada has access to, she bypassed the entire medical community to use her pussycat as a resource of healing? Come on, Jada, what's next? You gonna head down to the National Children's Cancer Society and start putting that magic pussycat massager on them cancer kids? I'm just saying, you a healer now.
I was in a lot of pain. I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good. And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Now hold up. Who the freak did she heal? Because August damn sure didn't look healed in that Angela Yee interview. And he certainly didn't sound healed in his Nunya song. Now maybe I missed something. But is August cured of autoimmune hepatitis? Does he now have 20/20 vision in both eyes? So what healing is she referring to? The healing of immediately denying their inappropriate relationship when the news first broke? I mean, what type of healer needs time to take credit? What type of healer would ask, coerce, suggest, or force their victim to deny their hit song was about them after its release? I thought you was a healer, Jada. And outside of Jesus, I don't know too many healers that pass on taking credit. But you different? Nah, you not different. You didn't want the credit because you're not a healer. You were thought selling yourself as a savior to the sick when all you really cared about was satisfying your own creepy predatory sickness. And that's real.
And from there, you and I were going through a very difficult time. From there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
And there is the word of the year.
An entanglement?
Exactly, Will. I don't even know why I'm surprised, but I can't even help but be surprised at the length some women will go to casually explain off their whorish behavior. But with Jada, it's even worse. Because being a whore is subjective. Just depends on who you ask. What's not subjective is being a hypocritical predator to a young sick kid. Now, had you gone out and slept with, Idris Elba, no harm, no foul. Because that would have been the adult thing to do during your breakup. Which for the men watching is the classic okey-doke move that women use when they want to cheat or how they justify their cheating. They attempt to create a gap in the relationship to hide their sexual desires. But that's an episode for another show. Let's get back to this R. Kelly in mid-speech.
Well, I definitely understand why it would look that way or feel that way, but I actually don't look at it as a transgression at all.
Now hold the phone. You don't look at it as a transgression? So let me get this right. Your grown ass is out there sucking off 22-year-old boys that you met through your son, and it's not a transgression? But you on the Red Table Talk speaking about complicity? Now, interestingly, that surviving R. Kelly Red Table Talk episode was a 40-minute discussion featuring victims and psychologists. But I nor anyone should be listening to 40 minutes of words from you on that subject matter, especially when on your own Red Table Talk on your pedophile behavior, it only lasted less than 13 minutes. And there was no psychologist that I could see. So in conclusion, what do we make of all this? I think understandably, there was a ton of dishonesty in Jada's Red Table Talk. I mean, let's be honest. They have an empire and legacy to protect. And honestly, they don't owe us the truth. But I also don't want them to believe that their version of Jada's truth is acceptable on any level. Jada Pinkett is a predator. She was a hypocrite to all sexually abused victims, and she really crossed a moral line when she decided it was okay to entangle with her son's friend or acquaintance. And just because you use a fancy word doesn't mean I no longer have access to the dirty words that truly describe your behavior. So let's say how it really is. You fucked a barely overage black boy. You sucked off a barely overage black boy. You cheated on your husband with a barely overage black boy. All the while telling us that we as a community need to take care of our own and not be complicit. Alright. So let me be the first to not be complicit. You're a pedophile. You're a rapist, Jada Pinkett. You ain't no better or different than Shane Dawson. You're actually worse. Yeah, he made an inappropriate and stupid video referencing Willow, but he definitely didn't eat her pussycat. So as you once so famously tweeted, I'm done with your excuses. Kick rocks, molester. You the female R. Kelly. So do us all a favor and stay the hell away from our kids.